Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Yeah! See, even though we're not in the Overflow room, let me put that away. It just scared the hell out of Mildred. For some reason, cats and gongs don't get along. They don't like strange, loud sounds, especially ones with low, sort of undertones. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're covering Handel still. Handel, who would be in the Overflow room if I'd gotten all these discs in time to put them into the Overflow room, but they were all more recent acquisitions than the Overflow room. So, what have we got here? Some really cool stuff. There's some fascinating stuff in these piles up here, because this is the collection that I acquired when I was writing my book on Handel. So I had to get all of the stuff that people weren't familiar with, all the unusual things, and the extended Handel collectors things. And wow, what a just discovery after discovery. It was unbelievably fascinating. Well, here's wasn't unbelievably fascinating. This was just the water music with Gibson, my reference recording, which I've talked about a million times, in which I have like 20,000 different recordings of. I've got a version here. I think there's another one sitting right there. I got a bunch because I knew they were going out of print. And when they did, I wanted to be sure that I had them. So I have the original release, and I have this is the mid-price release. Just the most glorious sounding water music you've ever heard in your life. It's wonderful with Gibson and Scottish National. Wonderfully, fabulously amazing. That's simple on Chandos. And then we've got this Chandos goodie. This is Handel's sacred music that he wrote mostly in Italy. Not entirely, but we've got, let's see, the Nisi Dominus, the Dixit Dominus, and Silete Venti, the motet. These are beautiful works. Oh my gosh, and Dixit Dominus is amazing. I mean, it's one of the most exciting, choral works anybody ever wrote. It's one of Handel's earliest. I mean, it was his early stuff from, it doesn't say what the date was, but it was in the first decade of the 1700s in Italy. And this performance, well, the best performance is the one with what's his name, Royce, and it's on Harmonia Mundi. I've talked about it. I made a whole video about it. You can go see. That's the most exciting. This is good. It's very well done. But yeah, I like that war chant and conquest sabit, conquest sa ha 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 ha. That business in the Dixit Dominus, when God is smoting and smiting and crushing and splattering, and oh, it's just brutal. It's fabulous. It has to sound totally chilling. This doesn't chill. It's a little bit nice, but that's all right. The other performances are lovely. The singing is great. I mean, what's not to like? Okay, so there you go. Handel, sacred choral music. Oh, this is a fabulous disc too. This is Simon Preston. Yeah. Simon Preston leading the Dettingen Te Deum and the Dettingen Anthem with the Choir of Westminster Abbey on Archive. The Dettingen Te Deum is Haydn's biggest English language militant, choral work. It's trumpets and drums and screaming and shouting, and it's just marvelous. You've got excellent soloists, and for the most part, and let's see, who else have we got? We've got Stephen Farco, bass, Christopher Tipping, altus. It's a countertenor, but this is sacred choral music. You would have those in those days. You'd have male altos, because women were, unclean and forbidden. Good grief. Harry Christophers and Michael Pierce with the English concert, and oh my, do they play. Oh, it's just great. So this Dettingen stuff, a lot of you probably have that in your Handel collections. It was kind of a basic acquisition when we were doing Handel and period instruments. Here's another lovely Dettingen Te Deum, along with Zadok the priest. The coronation anthem, which is, you can't have too many of those. It's 5 minutes of, the best of Handel's ceremonial choral music, and the organ concerto number 14 in A major, which is probably not too well known. Handel, there are more organ concertos than the 12 opus numbered sets, opus 4 and 7, or however many of those there are. because Handel used them, inserted concertos in his oratorios and things and played them as intermission music. So there are a bunch of unpublished or ones that weren't grouped together, and this is one of those. It's the Choir of Trinity College, Cambridge, the Academy of Ancient Music with Stephen Layton conducting. It was very good. Very, very good. It's a beautiful performance of that stuff. So, yeah, more Dettingen and things. And last, but certainly not least, Giove in Argo. Yes, opera in 3 acts from 1739. Now, this is the second of Handel's 3 pasticcio operas that were based on his own music. They were, for the record, we already talked about Oreste. There's this one, and then there's Alessandro Severo. For quite some time, this was considered unreconstitutable because a couple arias were missing. The performance score doesn't exist anymore, the Handel's conductor score. It does exist for the other 2. But evidently, the arias were all swimming around, and with a little bit of clever reconstruction of some secco recitative, they were able to put the piece back together. And so now we have it. I love these pasticcios. These are so much fun because they consist of the greatest hits from all of Handel's previous operas or works, or lots of them. He would take, if he presented 5 or 10 operas in the previous few seasons, he would take all the best arias and he would set them to new words. And the idea here was not to create an opera that has, flesh and blood characters and dramatic pacing, as, for example, Julius Caesar does, the great Handel operas. The idea here was to just give people his greatest hits. He knew that people who had seen his operas would be familiar with some of these arias, either because they'd seen them live or they'd purchased some keyboard and voice arrangements and things that were published. The favorite songs from whatever opera they would call it, and people would play them at home and sing them. So he wanted people to simply have a forum with colorful sets and costumes and a good story to hear some music that they knew well. And the better you know his operas, the more fun these become. As I said in talking about Oreste, they really are wonderful works, and they do not deserve to be shat upon because they are pasticcios. There's nothing wrong with a pasticcio. I love pasticcio, especially with a little extra cinnamon and some, that's the Greek pasticcio, but it's the same concept. It's a mishmash and a really good one. So this is with Il Complesso Barocco and Alan Curtis. They do a very good job with it. I mean, better than a lot of their other regular operas. The soloists are Anne Hollenberg, Karina Gauvin, and Enrico Zorzi, Giustiniani, good Lord, Vito Priante, Theodora Bacca, and Johannes Weiser. And, it's all just fun. Good, clean fun. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.